What's up, everybody? I got my boy Josh here. Um, you just went to a rodeo tonight. How was the rodeo?
It was pretty good, but it's freezing cold.
How cold is it?
Uh, what was that? But cold.
What, like 50 with the wind
Who
chill of like
guesses?
45?
Probably something like that. Or it might have even been in the 40s. I don't know.
Did anybody, did they ride bulls and whatnot?
Xander wanted to leave, so
You didn't know? Okay.
we left right before the bull ride.
Oh, that
It's
sucks,
like the
dude.
only, it's like the only reason to go to the rodeo.
Right? Exactly. Exactly. Some of the horses are pretty badass though, and they put the cowboys on some good rides. But the bulls are
Yeah,
the scary ones. Those are the ones that'll step on your face and possibly
there's
kill
some good
you.
horses, but nobody rode the good horses.
Got you. Um, so we're here to talk about flat Earth. You sent me some images today on my phone. I'm still not sure what those are, but um, go ahead and explain to me how long you've been researching flat Earth.
I guess I can just kind of start with the journey of getting into conspiracies at all.
Yeah, go for it.
Like it kind of started out, I guess, back in the day when you lived with Chase and Grant and all them. What was
Oh
Corey
yeah,
showed us that like Illuminati stuff and
I remember Corey coming over
like
to the
stuff.
house. Can I say something real quick? I
Yeah,
remember
go for it.
Corey coming over to the house and saying, "Hey, dude, I just made $100,000." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "I just sold my soul to the Illuminati. They said they were going to pay me $100,000." And I was like, "What is the Illuminati?" And he's like, "I saw it on the internet and I signed up for it and whatnot, and they said they sent me $100,000." And I was like, "All right, this is stupid, first of all." But then he kind of he kind of went into depth of what the Illuminati was, and then we had that men's group, and after that men's group, we started looking up videos of it. That was in like 2010, right?
Shoot, I don't know.
I think it was 2010. I'm pretty sure. But I I remember getting balls deep in the Illuminati and like seeing all the signs, like LeBron James.
That's the only thing I watched there. And he was talking about LeBron James like throwing up 666, and
He
I
was
thought it was
saying,
kind of interesting.
yeah,
But
he was saying it was in music too. He's like, dude, you gotta listen for it with Drake and all this stuff. And then once you did start seeing the symbolism. And even in the Super Bowls, you see the symbolism. But now it's just so blatantly clear in everything. Uh, I don't know, but I don't really pay attention to the Illuminati anymore because that's like child's play. But keep going. So it
I've never
started.
really, even now, I haven't like dug into like all these secret societies or anything. I know they exist and they're a lot of their symbols and everything's tied into pretty much everything. But
I think it's the same people that are doing this weird censorship and uh, like basically everybody who's involved in COVID is somehow part of the Illuminati. But that's my thing. That's like I'm a retard. I can't remember all the names of the groups, but if I could,
well, I'm the
I,
same way. There's you take in so much information. There's no way you can retain it all. It's really impressive the people that you actually listen to all the stuff they can just rattle off.
yeah,
Like, how do you
like
remember
Sam
all that stuff?
Tripoli. Sam Tripoli, like
Even him though, he's kind of dumb at it, but he's really good at remembering
he's
stuff. And
retained a lot of gnarly stuff that I'm just like super impressed by, and he's a brilliant guy, and sometimes he can't say his words. Like I love when he tries to say
like
last
all of us.
names. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But every time he tries to say a last name or something, like Benjamin uh Portere, he'll be like Benjamin Portillo. And like he just
You
can't do
must
it.
have nailed it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But so you started your journey back in 2010 when you were at the band house and you discovered the
Not
Illuminati.
really. That was just my intro to like any of it really.
Okay,
And
okay.
then we watched that 9/11 documentary on Netflix.
What's
Like,
that one
oh, that's
called?
some shoot. That was. I doubt it's even on there anymore.
Yeah, you're probably
That was,
right.
and I found some of that interesting, but like what we were in our 20s. Was I in my 20s then?
What's your thoughts on
Something like that.
9/11?
There's so many theories on everything. Like, I just know the main narrative is not legit. All you have to
Right.
know is Building 7. And nobody knows about Building 7. Like, in the mainstream. Like, Building 7, there was another building that came down. It wasn't just two.
Wasn't
And
that
that
one like right beside the two towers? Or
I don't know exact location or anything. But the theory on it was it caught on fire from the other towers coming down. And then it just got so hot that it collapsed on its own. No
I
building
mean,
in history has ever came down from a fire like that, especially one made out of
steel.
brick,
Oh,
brick and
brick.
steel. And I'm not sure if it's brick or concrete or what, but it falls at free speed. I mean, it's got no resistance. It comes down just like a controlled demolition building.
I
And
know.
I think it was one of either the mayor or the owner of the building or somebody said it was getting so unsafe, so we had to pull it, which means,
You blow it.
yeah, you demolish it. But there was no way they had time to set up the charges and all that if you didn't have foreknowledge of it. I mean, it takes weeks of people that
Right.
know what they're doing.
Right. No, I
So
9/11 is still, it's one of those things like I feel like we've been lied to so much, like, and COVID is just like the spotlight of the narrative that's been projected since 2000. Probably
wait a
before
minute.
that. Probably.
You don't think COVID was legitimate?
Yeah, exactly. So like I
Dude,
think
I'm a flat earther, and I
the
think COVID.
That's hilarious. I it all started back, I think, with JFK. I think JFK, when he pulled he didn't go with the narrative that I believe it was the CIA wanted to, like where they wanted to basically kill, I believe it was Americans on a flight over Cuba, blame it on the Cubans. I think it's called the Cuban Missile Crisis, or I can't remember, but I think JFK said, "What the hell? No." And then
Well,
he
if
got
I'm not mistaken, I think he's the one that started all going to the moon.
He did. Back in 1960, that decade or whatever, whenever he
He
first
said,
became,
"Yeah, we'd go within the decade or something."
yeah, I think it was 1963. He's like, "We will land on the moon, and you will see that this by the end of the decade." And like
And the propaganda started.
he had his team set up, and like the guy he would talk to the most ended up quitting after a year before they went to the moon. Like
Yeah.
the main guy on the project quit, and all of a sudden, boom, they landed on the moon. That's where I kind of fall in line with you on this whole flat Earth thing. I think to myself, like, okay, Josh, when you first told me, I was like, wait a second, you know what I mean? Because I used to make fun of flat earthers. I remember in 2015, I was hanging out with Morgan Choate, just chilling at the beach house, and I saw something on the internet that said flat Earth something, and I showed him, and me and him could not stop laughing. I thought
I
it was
think that's everybody's
initial
natural
reaction.
instinct.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and then, but then. I mean, like I said, COVID shined a light on this whole bullshit that they like to say. And then they say we've been to the moon, but in 1969 or whatever, but yet we don't go back. And everybody says to me, why would we go back? Like, why would we go back? And I'm like, dude, our ego is so big as Americans. And like, people are doing such crazy shit. Like, I think Jeff Bezos, if he could, he would put an Amazon sign on the moon, to promote Amazon. He's got more money than any.
Elon Musk would have the first charging station for Teslas on the moon already.
I see, and I'm not saying we can't go to the moon, but some people believe, like, is it flat earthers believe that what exactly is surrounding the Earth or whatever, our atmosphere? What do you think all that is?
Well, I like to, with the flat Earth, everybody always wants to jump. Let's go to space. Talk about the planets and well, if the planets are round, oh, why would the Earth be flat?
Yeah, they do say that a lot.
So let's start where we live on the ground and work out from there. So if let me got this little ball that I stole from Xander.
Okay.
So if we live on a ball, there's curvature, and they say they know the radius circumference of this ball here. So if we know the radius, then there's a math equation that you can do to know how much drop there would be in a mile. So in 1 mile, it would be 8 inches. Well, if you walk that mile, then it'll be another 8 inches drop from there. But if you stay in the same place and you zoom out, that the drop becomes way more. If you're on the top here,
Right.
you barely went to there, it barely drops. But if you come clear out here, and it drops. So the equation to that is 8 inches per mile squared. And that's pretty accurate up to like 1,000 miles, maybe 2,000 miles. After that, the 8 inches per mile squared
Is stupid or what?
doesn't. It just doesn't work. It just continues on down like this instead of like following the curve.
Oh, it stays at a line rather than a curve. Like,
Yeah, just the math doesn't work anymore because then it. But 1,000
so you're
miles
saying,
is plenty.
yeah, 1,000. I'm 1,000 miles away from
There's
you.
more complicated math problems you could do to actually figure
Yeah.
out how much dropped it. But we don't need the 8 inches per mile
Well, you were saying to me about
squared.
Catalina, like if I stand on the beach in Newport Beach, or Long Beach or any of those beaches, and I stare out at Catalina. Catalina, I believe, is like 30 miles away, maybe more, maybe 40, but that would be 40 times 8 inches squared. Let me do the math real quick.
No, so you do, it's 40 miles, you do 40 times 40.
40 times 40 equals 1,600 times 8 inches squared.
No, the 40 times 40 is squaring it. So you do 40 times 40 and then times 8.
So you're telling me in 30 miles it's
No, hold on.
Okay.
Then you got to divide it by 12 inches.
5 by 12. So 40 miles away from us, the drop or the curve of it is 1,066 feet. Maybe I fucked up
That's
somewhere.
it. Oh, I can do it on my phone. I think you did it right.
Well, either way, it does show a weird error in my opinion. Like I was doing the math on some stuff with you, and I was like, that is weird. But aside
Like
from
in
that,
10 miles, I know it's 66 feet.
okay. Well, that's weird because when I stare at a town that's close by you from a town that I grew up in, it looks like you could see everything. But I mean, either way, the curvature.
You can't really do it over land because
Land
land
has
obviously
hills and
goes up
whatnot.
and down. You'd
Okay.
have to know the elevation. That's why it's best to do it over water because water lays level.
That's
You
true.
put water in a cup, level. You put it in a bathtub, it's level. You go out to a lake, the wind's not blowing, it's level. Well, if you live on a ball, then level means curved. Wrap that around your head.
There's a lot of things, dude. Like I was talking with one of my bosses because he's like a mathematician about uh light years. And we were studying the light years and all this stuff and like he was telling me, oh yeah, so we did the math because he's that's him. And it was like a star was like, I don't know, the light that we're receiving from it is 1 billion years old. And it's just like I just can't really quite understand all that light year stuff.
That's
And
what they just make, kind of like they've done with evolution or anything. They just throw out these ginormous numbers that you can't. There's no way any of us can test them
no,
or do anything.
no, it's nearly impossible every time I do. And what's weird to me too is I weld, so like I got my welding hood, and I go in the morning. I show up so early. I see the sun. I see a full moon every time there is one. It's actually my favorite part of work. Is it's the shittiest part of getting up so damn early, but then it's the best part when you're like looking at the sky and the full moon is there and whatnot. And I've compared the full moon to the sun in size, and it's exactly the same. Like they say the moon is, or they say that the moon is 260,000 miles away, right? And then they say the sun.
238,000 to probably, yeah, that, I mean,
Come on,
according to their model, it
you
changes
know.
because it goes in an elliptical orbit. Like at one point it's closer and then it goes further out.
Okay.
But anyway,
Discuss. Okay. So, anyways, then how far away is the sun?
93 million miles, according to that.
Okay. And so,
But hold on, let's go back to this. So if you live on a ball, this is your ship. It's going away. It's going down the ball and disappears. So on a
did
ball,
you say
you
my
have,
ship? Real quick. What did you say?
yeah, you know how they say like ships go over the curve of the earth, like when they go
Okay.
away,
Okay. Like rocket,
disappear bottom up and
like
go,
rocket ships, like the shit Elon
because
Musk is sending up there.
no, like no,
Oh,
like
oh,
ships,
ships. Oh, okay, okay,
boats.
okay. Boats. Okay, okay.
Yeah,
Go on.
we're really laggy right now, but
You're good. We're good.
you're frozen. Anyway, so they go away and they go over the ball. So it's a physical edge that's making the boat disappear if you live on a ball. Well, it looks like that when you look out there with your naked eyes. It looks like they're going away and disappearing bottom up. But now we have optics like cameras and telescopes or whatever, and you can zoom back in and bring them back in. Well, if it was a physical edge blocking the ship, then you wouldn't be able to bring it back in with a camera or telescope or whatever.
Kind of like that picture you showed me. Did you send it to my phone? The one with the dudes on the boats and they had the lines.
Yeah, I sent it to you a while back. Could you bring that up?
Let me see. While I'm bringing this
Or I can
up,
send it.
no, you're good. While I'm bringing this up, uh, can you tell me what you think our atmosphere is? You know, they say we have an atmosphere and we're held into this ball by this little bit of atmosphere, and outside that atmosphere is a vacuum called space, right?
Well, if you want to go clear back in like evolution, where the Big Bang and we exploded from nothing, or this rock floating through space, and then all of a sudden, over millions and millions of years, it created this water and atmosphere and all this. Well, according to them, we live next to the vacuum of space, and so how would you get next to a vacuum?
How would you get a
Nature
pressure system?
abhors the vacuum. Yeah, like if you air up your tire, you poke a hole in it, does that air stay in there? No, it wants to equalize. It
Isn't
comes.
isn't that what they're super scared of with this whole global warming bullshit? That we're gonna poke a hole in the ozone or something, and then psst,
Oh,
all.
supposedly yeah.
Okay, but wouldn't we be poking holes in the ozone every time we send a rocket through it? Like, I don't know. You know what I mean?
I don't know about
I've
that.
never thought of that. So I found
But
that
anyway, so
I found that picture. Sorry, keep going.
yeah.
We'll go back to this.
No, go ahead.
Okay, so I
Show the
found this
picture.
picture. Um, so this is the first one, right? It's like it
Yeah, you
shows.
can see though. the red stripe on the bottom.
Yes. Okay.
This was a National Geographic did like this hit piece on flat earthers
To debunk it,
where they went out, to debunk it.
is it okay?
So then show the next one.
This is the next one. Explain what's going on here. Sorry.
It's
I should probably
like
change the background.
yeah, we can see it now. So see how the bottom stripe has disappeared.
Yes.
They
Sorry.
say that's because of Earth curve. I don't know, it's glitching now, but
That's not glitching. It's the phone. But okay. So, but you can barely
anyway, they say
you can
that
barely see the bottom. If you zoom in, you can see the tiny little line of the red.
yeah, but it's disappeared according to them because of Earth curve. The problem is if you hold that back up there, you can see that this physical edge of the Earth, if that was the thing that was blocking the stripe, but the horizon is higher.
Yeah, the
Probably
horizon in the back
higher
is
than
higher.
higher than that black stripe or blue stripe, whatever it is.
Yeah. So what is that?
So it can't be the physical edge of the Earth that's causing that.
Okay. You think it's like whenever you're looking down a highway on a hot summer day, the mirage thing? Like,
There's different deals going on. This would be a good time to bring in perspectives. Bring up that grid that I sent you.
okay.
Yeah, but there's evaporation happen on the water, so it's a lot thicker.
I should probably change my background real quick so that way I'm not dealing with all this.
Yeah.
Give me 1 second, people. Change background. Okay. Now I'm not going to be fiddling with it. Okay, so this is the one you wanted me to show, right?
Yeah, see how everything comes together at a point. That's how
Yes.
our eyes work. And you see how the squares on the bottom are
Look
bigger?
longer. Yeah.
Yeah, look longer.
Yeah.
So I told you about the example of like if you put your head down on a gym floor and you put a penny right in front of you, and then you had somebody just slide that penny away from you. Eventually, you're not going to be able to see it anymore because it's angular size, and then that floor in front of you, those bigger squares, take up all your vision. See what I'm saying? And then they
Yeah.
get smaller and smaller.
So this is just to explain perspective of the eye.
Yeah.
Okay.
Of
Okay.
how things could disappear bottom up
Kind of like that.
on a flat Earth or on flat water,
Level water.
level water.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So let's get into what
Well, I just
is.
want to
Sorry. Go for it.
let me finish that deal. So, like, you take that penny and you slide it away. Eventually, you won't be able to see it anymore.
Yeah.
But after it got to the point where you couldn't see it anymore, you can stack another penny on top of it, and you probably see it again. You see
Yeah.
that second penny.
Yeah.
Or if you stood up, you could see that penny because you increased your angle to be able to see down and see it. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. You're basically displaying perspective. Whenever it comes to okay, your perspective on a or on a on the surface level can only go so far. That object could be higher and you could see it, or if you're in a plane, you could probably see
Or
that. It's just the perspective of your vision.
yeah,
Okay,
basically. But I don't know if I'm describing it very well. But
it's all good. There's so much.
I mean that's how like sunsets work on a flat Earth, and so let's say like they're like, well, you need to pull up that essentially that clock one.
All right, explain it for me real quick while I pull it up and the listeners. So okay,
So
here, because there's gonna be a lot of people listening, not seeing all these visuals.
yeah.
You want me to
Yeah,
do
so
it
basically
here? The problem is it wants to spin every time I try to do it. Let me see if I screenshot this. There.
the sky is like a clock and polar north would be in the center.
Okay.
And the sun and moon rotate over the top of our head. Like over. Yeah. So
Okay.
anyway, so
Keep going.
this is a lot harder to describe than I thought it
No,
would be.
I kind of get it. Like, I get it. I've been looking at the flat Earth map, and basically, so let's explain what the flat Earth map is to somebody who's listening. So you have your circle, which is the Earth or whatever, and then on the outer rim is Antarctica, right? And Antarctica surrounds
Yeah.
the whole entire outer rim, and then inside that rim, or in the very center, is the North Pole. So the outer rim is Antarctica, the very center is the North Pole, and then the continents and the water is in between those things inside the circle. And basically, what you're trying to say is the sun moves like a clock around somewhat the center of water and land, and then the moon is on the opposite end of it,
Yeah,
spinning as
and
well.
how you get your seasons, the sun would be closer, comes in closer to the center during our summer, and then it works its way out, and then that would be the southern summer.
Okay.
And like, let's say you go out, they say on a globe, the reason they say that we have our seasons is that we're on this tilt, and then at the end. So if this makes no fucking sense, but in the in our summer, the sun's actually further away from us than the heliocentric model, and in the winter, the sun's closer to us by a few million miles or something. But anyway,
That's
so
strange.
they say it's the angle of the Earth because you're getting more direct sunlight in the summer than you are in the winter. But you can go out like on a summer morning, the sunrise, and you can feel the warmth of the sun right on your face. That's the most degree of an angle you can get to the sun, and you can still feel the heat from it on a sun. Like first thing in the morning, the sun comes up, you can feel the heat.
Yeah. The
Well,
summer mornings,
like
yeah.
in the winter at noon, you can't even hardly feel any heat from the sun.
No,
Does that make sense?
it's normally, yeah, it's the the sun in the winter, especially in the Midwest. Yeah, you could say it's warm, but it's not warm. You're feeling everything that's on the earth. You're feeling the wind chill, you're feeling the snow, like you're feeling all the things that are around you. But I don't understand why they're saying on that scale that you're talking about that it would be closer to us. That makes no sense because that just doesn't make sense. But there's a million
Because of
things.
the elliptic path that the Earth is in.
Well, let's get to this perspective
You
real
you
quick.
you know what I'm saying? Like with orbits, because when they go around, it takes a, a bigger circle and then it comes in a little closer and then it goes further away.
Yeah,
That's why they're saying the sun's further away in our summer than it is
just because at
in the winter.
that time it's further away, but in Australia when
Yeah.
it's summer, it's actually closer. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, but I'm a retard whenever it comes to astrology. I do love the stars. I remember my good friend just sitting me down in Kansas one time and it was just like no light pollution. He's like, dude, look up at that. And he's like, what the fuck is that? You know, like what is that? We're so bogged down with all the pressures that we have down here and all the wars and whatever the BS. And yet there's that out there. I've always been personally in love with that, you know, there's an idea of us basically going out there or basically something out there coming here. Um, so when you told me about this theory you have of the flat Earth, I get it. I do, and I kind of side with you just because we've been lied to so much. And not only that, but if you look at our education system, um, since the 1920s or something like that, it's been like basically built
Clearly,
by.
they failed on me.
Yeah, exactly. But I believe the Rothschilds were the ones who kind of started the education system. I could be way off on this. I heard this one time. I should probably look into it more. But I don't know. When you think of education, like look at what they're pushing now. Um, like my daughter may grow up in a situation where they're like, "Yeah, honey, you could be a boy." Like you could have a penis. Like it's like what the fuck are we talking about? Like that's the kind of stuff where I can't side with any of the noise because or even watch it. I listen to it. Most things I listen to in podcasts, I listen to it, especially politically and whatnot, and I'm just like, yeah, whatever, retards. Like you have no idea what's going on. You're like it's all noise. Most of the stuff I hear every day is noise, and it's all stuff to like, for instance, this Roe v. Wade noise, Black Lives Matter noise, uh, vaccines noise, unvaccinated, vaccinated noise. It's all just it's so stupid. It's just a clown show, and a lot of people just get invested in it and they spend their time on it, and like family members fight over it and whatnot. And so your perspective if the earth is flat, like, so who is Elon Musk to you? Because like most of the time when I tell my friends about the flat earth and like they laugh and do all that, but then I'm like, nah man, I'm just being serious, I just want to have a conversation about it, like this idea. um and they kind of are like, well, what about Elon Musk, dude? Like Elon Musk is the Jesus to them. Like they're like and like also they're like, get on your phone, dude, you got GPS, there's satellites orbiting us, all that stuff. And like, oh, what you laugh, what are your thoughts on satellites and all that?
Well, I'm not saying satellites don't exist, but just not in the aspect that they say they do. Like NASA is known for using balloons with helium. NASA is the biggest helium consumer there is, and they've launched low Earth orbit balloons with helium that have stayed up.
Didn't that one
So
guy who
there's
who jumped from the atmosphere like in 2012 or something like that? You know who I'm talking about? He like skydived a long
yeah,
ways. Was he in a balloon pod or what?
I can't remember.
It seems to be that way.
But
Like he,
what's funny about that is he said that he saw the curvature of the Earth up there, and then Neil deGrasse Tyson pretty much said, "You can't see the curvature of the Earth from that height."
really?
And what's funny is they show this fisheye view of the Earth, and they show this big old curved Earth. Then
Everything's a fisheye view from
the
space
view
though.
from inside his cap, but then the camera inside the capsule that he was in shows a flat horizon.
Really?
Yeah,
So he debunked
that's another
himself.
thing that, like, if you're going up from this Earth, it drops away from you. It would drop away from you if it's a
Yeah.
ball.
It wouldn't rise
And
up on you and then start going. It would just drop
not
away.
like it brings it back to that perspective deal. Like everything comes merges to a point. The ground rises up to your eye level. The sky comes down to your eye level.
Okay.
Like when you look out, you see the clouds. They all look perfectly level, but then they
Yeah.
start to merge with the ground.
Especially on a
Kind of like,
stormy Kansas night. Like you'll see in that horizon when the sun's setting, it's storming and you got those two clouds and all of a sudden that sun will peek through and you can see that kind of like that penny that you're talking about.
yeah. Bring up let's see, the the one of the sun, the clouds.
This one?
Not that one, but I
Okay.
mean,
Here. Don't worry. I'll find it. Okay. The one with the light shining through?
yeah. And you can't really see them. I guess you
Good.
can see it. See how
Sorry.
the rays called crepuscular rays, something like that.
What is
But
this?
we're told that the sun's 93 million miles away and that the rays are coming in parallel. So you have parallel shadows on everything.
No,
So
that
go
looks
to
like it's blasting like this through the clouds, like psh,
Well, they say that's just because of refraction and like that it's hitting our atmosphere, and
going haywire.
so then it's diverging, which I kind of agree with that it is. Because I think that our sun's more of like a. I think the true sun could either be outside of the firmament, or I mean that's another aspect. We can go to the Bible. I can show you some of the verses and stuff, but anyway, in order to have gas pressure, like we were talking about earlier, you have to have a container. Otherwise, if you had pressure next to a vacuum, all the air would leave. Well, they say gravity holds the air on the Earth. But
Talk to me about gravity, buddy. That's another thing.
well,
People's talk about.
there's
I
so
don't
many
know.
things to this. I
I
thought it'd
know,
be a
but
whole lot easier
no, no, no,
to
no, no.
describe.
It's okay. We can
And I
do this
kind of had
again.
an idea of the steps I wanted to go through, but we can just go with whatever. But
Yeah.
anyway, there's even an argument in between flat earthers whether there's gravity or if it's just buoyancy and density. Like you have a jar and you have all these different liquids in there, like the oil will be on the top and then water,
Yeah.
they'll separate. Well, that's buoyancy and density. Like you can shake them up, and then if you leave them at rest, they'll go to their different layers.
Okay.
Or like things will float in water, some things will sink in water. They're more dense. I
Or
think
more
there's
buoyant.
gravity. I think
Okay.
there's because we live in like a electric universe. Like everything's electric. Everything has like a charge potential. I can't describe all of it, but I think there is something that establishes down. I just don't think that it has to be. I don't think it's mass attracting mass, or the bending and warping of space and time is the current theory on gravity.
I mean,
I
that's
think
the
that
thing.
they.
That's the thing that gets me the most is most people like that I talk to about this subject kind of look at me strange. I'm not married to the ball and I'm not married to the flat earth. I'm just curious as all get out because I know how much they lie. And also, like the points that you've been bringing up to me about some of the things they say is going on. And I'm like, what? And then and then the things you say is going on is kind of like, okay, you're putting a test to it. At least you're giving yourself you go out and you look at these things and you give it a shot. So, another thing that I want to talk about though, and I forgot where I was going with this exactly, but shit, I lost my fucking train of thought. Um, but basically,
Oh, let's go back to my diagram or my picture
okay, dang, I
that
forgot.
I drew.
It sucks.
So this is how they prove the ball like 2,000 years ago, supposedly. I think it's Aristophanes or something like that.
You want me to go to the picture you drew?
Yeah,
All right, everybody, this is a really cute
I
picture. So,
drew this 2 minutes before the show. You see the one, well, it'd be on my left. I don't know if it's on your left. The one of the flat deal that was Aristophanes said that the rays from the sun are coming in parallel on the ball one. And he noticed that at one location, you could have no shadow, and in another location you could have a shadow. So he said the Earth has to be curved in order for that to happen, because he automatically assumed that the rays from the sun are coming in parallel, even though we showed you the picture in the clouds, and
They're kind of
we
just
never
dispersing.
see.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't. Nobody sees parallel rays.
No.
But anyway, he proved this 2,000 years ago that the Earth was a ball because one well or one stick shoved in the ground had no shadow, and however many miles away had a shadow at an angle. So he said the Earth had to be curved in order for that to happen. Well, on my little picture there, it shows a flat deal with a local sun where the rays would be diverging. So you'd have no shadow on the center one, but the outer two ones would have the shadow because the
Oh,
sun's local.
I see what you're saying. I see what
So
you're
it works
saying.
on either one. So
Okay.
that does not prove
Okay.
that and
Who was that?
supposedly 2000.
Who
Huh?
was that? Who was that came up with that whole theory?
I think it's Eratosthenes or something like that.
Okay. Um. So to move forward, another thing that I find hilarious, like, is if you Google any picture of the Earth, like any picture, it's all a drawing,
Oh, I
right?
sent you that one
Which one? The
of it.
2000 or 1972 and here, let me try to
Yeah,
zoom in on this so that way I can.
they,
It's too bad I can't pull this
that's how
up,
the
and I feel
globe.
sorry about that.
That's how the pictures of our Earth have changed over the years. The continents have changed sizes. The Earth has changed colors, and
Well, that could be the continents changing size, could be from a number of things, like from the distance away from the Earth that picture's taken. But these are like supposedly legit pictures because I've heard that every picture on the internet is a drawing. Basically, it's not a, it's a
well, they
CGI.
even admit to that they're composite images and
So
that
are
they
they,
have to
but they're
be.
saying these are the real ones. Like these are legit, like images that they took from something.
No, but people look it up and automatically assume that's our Earth.
Oh, okay, yeah.
There is no real pictures of Earth space.
That's what I'm
You can't,
saying. Let's
because you can't go to space.
Okay, now let's get into that. So you
Shit,
said you say we can't go to space. So talk to me about how we can't go to space. I get that. Uh,
my phone's like falling off.
don't worry about it. You're good. You're good.
My little engineered. If you could see what I did to do this, I just did it last minute, and now
It's
it's
all
not
good.
working.
We'll just see. You can take your time. So for all the listeners listening, you gotta apologize with me. We're doing a lot of picture viewing via my phone, uh, but I'm making a YouTube account ASAP. I don't know how fast my YouTube will get taken down. I hope it doesn't, because all I'm doing is having conversations.
I
That's
don't
all
think
this.
it will because you got some retard on here trying to explain this to you. But
No, no, no. You're not a retard. You're actually brilliant. Like, let me
it's
tell
just
you
a
about.
lot tougher to explain than I thought. But
Well, it's a
it gives me a
very
lot more appreciation for the guys that do this. And
well. I mean, they have time to edit and all that stuff. Like you're into this, but this is just one of our conversations we're gonna have, and this is actually my very first podcast. I still don't know what I'm gonna call it, either the Drew Logan podcast or the Drewcast. But by the time this comes out, I'll have figured that out. But so so Josh keeps setting up his camera, trying to get it set just
it's
right.
because my phone was dying and I tried to plug it in, and that screwed up my perch.
It just keeps
Put weight
falling
on
on the floor. It's pretty funny though. It's pretty funny because you'll
Really, I
have.
guess I'll just hold it.
All right, there you go. Um, all right, Josh, let's get back into this. You can hold it. It's all good. Uh, so basically, you said we can't go to space. Explain why we can't go back to space or go to space, not go back.
Because it doesn't exist.
Hold on. How? Hold on. You're losing me on this one. Like I said, there was one time in Kansas, I looked up the sky with my buddy. He's like, "What the fuck is all that?" You saw the Milky Way. Kansas light is different than any other light, other than probably in other rural areas. But like, you could see
I
the
think the
Milky Way.
desert's like the best place to go,
Yeah,
where you have a lot less
light
light
pollution.
pollution.
So explain to me. You said there is no space. What does that mean?
I know it sounds crazy and it's hard to explain, but you're told that all this stuff is millions of miles away, but it's all local and it's just lights in the sky. It's not like, I don't know, you can't go up there to see what it is.
Okay, question. So is this where your perspective is of the Earth and your life? You ever see the Truman Show, where he gets out and he's like, "Hey, everybody," and like well, anyways, uh,
I mean,
uh,
I think they kind of put truths in movies to, but as far as like it being inside of a building, no. Like I think
no, of course,
it's
but
created.
I'm saying, so you're thinking that the Earth is flat, okay? Listeners, think about this. So the Earth is flat. You got the Antarctica that wraps around the whole thing in ice, and we are in kind of the close to the center, but there's the
It
North Pole.
doesn't even have to. It doesn't even have to be ice though. It's just
Okay,
basically like the shoreline of the lakes or of the ocean.
okay,
Only the shoreline of Antarctica is the shoreline of the Earth that we know of, because we can't go out there and explore it for ourselves. There's a thing called the Antarctic Treaty that like all the countries sign, even though a lot of the countries we were at war with at the time, like Russia, I believe, and for the Soviet Union or whatever, when the Antarctic Treaty was signed to save the penguins.
okay. Uh, Penguins are that valuable, huh?
Yeah,
Okay,
and
all right.
that
I'll
was
look at
way
Surfs Up a lot differently now.
that was
Sorry.
way before like any of the like environmentalist big time stuff, any of that. We didn't care about any of that at that time.
Isn't there some theories that there's
There's
actually
all kinds of weird stuff about Antarctica.
I've heard that there's theories that if you go to Antarctica, they found like in the past colonies and educated colonies that had like TVs and all that shit before we did.
Yeah, I don't know about any of that, but
I listen to a lot of crazy podcasts too, and
yeah, I've
like
heard some of the same stuff. I've
I
heard
don't
that. I
yeah
think when Admiral Byrd was exploring it, that he found lands bigger than the United States and people, and but who knows? I don't know.
okay all right so we got Antarctica wrapped around the whole Earth. We got in the center
And
us in the
then
waters.
somewhere there, there's a dome, a firmament container. What it's made out of, I don't know.
You mean it starts at Antarctica and kind of goes up over us?
Probably not at Antarctica, but further out from there at some
Okay.
point. In order to have gas pressure, which we breathe on this earth, you have to have a container. You can't have pressure without a container, because that's what the, like if you have a bottle of oxygen, you fill it up and you close the lid and it's pressurized. And the way it has pressure is bouncing off the walls of the container.
I'm with you
In
on that.
order to create, you open that lid, all that pressure is going to come out of that container and it's going to equalize with the air around it at that layer of density. Now you can have a pressure gradient, like if you were to hook something up to that tank, like a more pressurized tank and you barely crack the valve, it's going to have more pressure at the bottom of the container than it will at the top till it fills in there. Or if you heat it up on the bottom, you'll have more pressure because the gas will be expanding.
So you're going into the
So
literal gas pressure systems of things and how it actually works. Like you have to have an enclosed area.
that's how it works here on Earth, and we can't. They say that gravity's holding that on there, but it makes zero sense because gravity doesn't hold that pressure in that tank when you open the lid.
No. Yeah, no. No, and they're like I
Where the
work.
gravity's the strongest according to their model.
Yeah. No, it's weird to
So
me.
in order to have any pressure at all, you have to have a container. And this
Yeah.
all lines up. This lines up with the Bible. I can read you for those of you that are Christians and believe in a God and a Creator. There's verses in the Bible that talk about the firmament, how it separated the waters from the waters, and then another thing in the heliocentric model that we're going around the sun, but the sun wasn't created till the third day or fourth day or something like that.
He said let there be light, right?
He said, "Let there be light," but then he didn't create the sun till I think it was the fourth day or something.
Okay.
And then there's a verse in Joshua where it talks about they were having a battle and God told the sun and the moon to stand still.
For
Well, that
20
means the earth stopped spinning and then, yeah, for 24 hours till the battle was over. On the spinning earth model, that means that the earth stopped moving. And not only that, the moon stopped orbiting the earth. They stood still for 24 hours. Well, I don't know if you're spinning at 1,000 miles an hour and all of a sudden it stops.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
There's all kinds of verses.
One thing I've thought about too.
Give it or not, but
No, we can like I said, this is not the last time you'll be on this thing. And we'll figure out later on. You can figure out what you didn't talk about, what you want to talk about. Hit me up, we'll get you back on. My thing is, you told me one time, imagine a merry-go-round, and then at the end, so this merry-go-round spinning, right? And then
yeah.
at the end, um, this may be a bad analogy actually, but like, all right, so imagine the
You
Earth.
want me to describe it?
Well, you basically told me that you get in a helicopter, right? And you get up in the air in the helicopter. If the chopper's spinning and you're above the Earth that's rotating, I get it. Is our atmosphere spinning with the Earth? Like, you know what I mean? Like, clearly it is because the clouds are moving with stuff.
Well, they say over millions and millions of years that after this atmosphere got created and held on by gravity, which is retarded, but then over years, the Earth spinning grabbed the air, took it with it to where it's spinning at the same rate of the Earth. So in this merry-go-round explanation, well, first of all, you got this mile wide merry-go-round and you're at the center and it's going just way around, but then you go a mile out, you're probably going, I don't know how fast you'd be going. Let's just say you're going 5 miles an hour. And that merry-go-round magically takes the air, spins it at the same rate on the outside. And in the middle, it's barely spinning the same rate. So you take off with your drone and you fly it out there a mile out. Well, is the platform going to be moving out from underneath you, or is it the air going to push you around with it that's spinning?
No,
Well,
I
that's what you
mean,
have to believe that's what you have to believe on this Earth. Because at the equator, it's spinning at 1,000 miles an hour, and at the North Pole, it would be spinning around once a day. So
yeah.
the speed of, well, you need a 24-hour clock. The speed of a 24-hour clock.
Yeah, no, it's all it's all like I said, like it to view you crazy for believing this and like to bring it up and like have your perspectives on things of it being flat, and for a person who believes all the crazy science that goes along with fucking the ball, it's also crazy. Yeah, dude.
Well,
where
the thing that I'm talking about, the reason I don't call it a flat Earth belief is because it's stuff that I can test and do myself. Like I can go out to the water and see. Like there's people that have done ones over a frozen lake, and they took a construction cone and put a light on top of it. Well, in 10 mile or like they would do that like every 2 miles or something. Put one of those cones with a light on top of it
okay.
on a frozen lake. Well, in 10 miles it's supposed to be 66 feet of curve. Well, they film all the way across, and all these lights are at the same level, sitting on top of a cone. What, 2 foot off the ground? So in 10 miles, it's supposed to that furthest cone should have dropped 66 feet down.
Because
It
it's a
doesn't.
frozen lake. Because that's a level experiment because that's water. Frozen.
Yeah,
Set.
but on a globe, the water has to bend, no matter if it's a lake, ocean, whatever it is. It has to bend at that rate.
Yeah, yeah, the 8 inches squared per mile.
If you're on a yes,
Yeah. And you're saying that this guy went 10 miles or 11 miles? How far do you go?
it was at least 10 miles.
And that light stayed true.
Well, he used multiple cones and put different
Yeah.
colored lights on.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And but basically like projecting out as far as he could go, could he see that last cone? Is this on
Oh yeah,
YouTube? Is this on YouTube?
yeah. I'd have to find it.
If
That's another
we'll
thing.
find it,
They
we'll put it
censor. That's
we'll put it
another
in the
thing. They
link.
censor. Like back when I got into this, I think it was like 2017, somewhere in there. 18, 16, probably somewhere in there. But anyway, like they would just suggest these videos to you on YouTube, and now they're at the point where it's all censored. You can't find it, even if you know the channel. Look up, you have a hard time finding them. A lot of times, you have to
That that's the
search it
thing.
exactly by their name.
That's another thing that makes me curious is all get out simply because of the censorship and like if it is like if it's quote unquote retarded, to think of the earth as being flat, then let that shit out. Let people be retarded. Let people see what people have done. But I don't know why they censor the shit out of it because you sent me or you told me to look some things up and I did, and it was hard, especially on my PlayStation. I was gonna look up some stuff with my friend, one of my buddies. We'll call him Bobby, but anyways, he or we'll call him Billy. My bad, but he
Billy Bobby.
well, Billy the badass, but he we couldn't find it, and then you sent me the link, and I typed out everything verbatim on that link, and I still couldn't find it. I could only watch it on my phone, which like this whole censorship stuff, dude. I don't know how. I was talking to him the other day, Billy the badass, and I was telling him, we don't live in a free country anymore. I'm not trying to be black pilled and be like super downer about it, but like we don't. Like he wants me to call him Billy because he's like, dude, I want to get on the podcast and I want to say some things, but I could get fired because of my political view on it. And I said, he's like, so I don't know if I should be on the pod. And I was like, yeah, I don't think you should because I'm not here to have a podcast that promotes anything other than your true opinion. Which, hey, proud of you for coming on. Proud of you for, having a set of cojones, Mr. Billy the Badass, and put yourself out there and just saying, hey, this is what, I've been diving into for the last 5 years, um, and you've brought up some good points to me. One time you told me, hey, man, just take an hour or two or three to like imagine the earth being flat and what your perspective on your reality is, because reality is all about just perspective of what's going on in your life. Like, so I did. And I remember walking around and I was just like, okay, so this is a dome, and then this is whatever. And I did feel a little bit more like empowered. And I know this sounds crazy and stupid, but I felt like a little bit more like, hey, this is it right here. This person next to me is important. You know what I'm saying? Life is actually very important. It's not that I'm some small thing in the universe. I'm actually a beautiful piece in this puzzle that God's made. You know what I mean? And
You're pretty
so,
sexy.
come on, baby, you know what's up. Come on.
Come on now.
But but I just had that feeling, and I was just like I said, I only did it for like 3 hours, and then I fell asleep. Woke up the next day like, ah, shit, fucking work, and this ball and the stars far away. It didn't take long for me to get back into my own basic perspective. But touche to you. Um, we're at an hour and 3 minutes. We could call it quits, or we could go on to talk about how Marty God knocked on my dad's window at 3 a.m. in the morning. And should I tell that story real quick? Or do you got anything else you want to say or bring up?
We didn't talk about the star trails, I don't think. You want to bring up that one?
Star trails, like kind of like in Star Trek when they're like fucking doing the time travel and it's like all the stars coming at him. What's a star trail?
No, I sent you that picture of it's a time lapse of stars.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I see it. It is kind of like Star Trek.
So they say that's because we're spinning, Earth
Okay.
spinning, and that's why. And then they just take it just takes a picture every so often, and then they put it together like that. But anyway, so but
Interesting.
that's not the only direction we're moving on this heliocentric model. We're supposedly traveling around the sun at 66,000 miles an hour, and the sun's traveling around the Milky Way, and blah blah blah. I think there's like 4 or 5 different directions we're supposedly moving.
Okay.
So why would you just have a circular path of the stars? Wouldn't they be like shooting across sideways too as it's spinning? Because you're spinning, but you're going around the sun.
Yeah, it would be
Does that
like an
make any
array.
sense?
Yeah, it would be like an array of like a movement, like a dance, not just a circle.
Yeah, like
Yeah, no,
they
yeah.
they'd be spinning, but they'd also be shooting off to the side.
Is that from a fisheye camera lens? I don't know.
I don't know.
That looks wild though.
There's all kinds. You can look them up, but
I like so I'm a big fan of the Northern Lights, the Aurora Belt, maybe that's what it's called. But the dancing light, the green that like shoots out of Finland and Sweden and all that really good, and
mm-hmm.
Alaska. And you know what? A funny story is in high school, I saw the Northern Lights in Kansas, and our science teacher, Mr. V, I can call him that. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's the man. I love him. Shout out Mr. V. But I came into class one day, and I was probably a junior, and I was heading out on that one road out of town, and I could see all these like dancing green lights like way out there in the distance. And I was like, what is that? And I got on my computer that night, looked it up. And this is back in like 2005, 2006. And it said Northern Lights. So I went into science class the next day. I was like, yo, Mr. V, I saw the Northern Lights last night. And like he's making fun of me. He's like, you didn't see shit. He's like, there's no way you saw those lights. And then the next day in the Hutch Eagle or whatever it's called, the paper came in. It said something like very rare case of the Northern Lights seen last night in the Kansas skies. And I just went to his desk and slapped that eagle on his paper or on his desk, and I was like, yeah, yeah. He kind of
That's
was
what's
like
up.
touche. Yeah, he was kind of like touche. But anyways, Josh, we'll end the podcast. I'll have you on again. This has been great. You're You're one of my greatest friends. We got some funny stories to tell other than this flat Earth stuff. So I'll have you back
Hey,
on.
go ahead and tell your Marty's.
Okay, Marty Gaw. All right, we'll finish out with a good one. So this guy Marty Gaw, R.I.P. Rest his soul. He passed away. But my dad has a plethora of crazy friends. It's probably one of my favorite things about my dad. He used to, yeah, there's so many things. I'll tell some more stories about my dad. But anyways, he had this crazy friend named Marty Gaw, and he was dating this lady in town uh, named Sandy. And anyways, he came over to our house. Me and Josh were living at my dad's house. I was kicked out of my mom's because I was being crazy, and we're staying in the basement, me and Josh. And at 3 a.m. we get this knock on the door on the window, and we were watching like True Destination or Final Destination. So we're like, oh, what the fuck is that? And then so we look up. I'm a little creeped out, and I see, we could open those windows. So I opened it. I'm like, what's up? And he's like, hey, it's me, Marty. Let me in. And I was like, what's going on? It's
Why are
3
you saying Marty's voice and your dad's voice?
Oh, my bad, one of them. They're basically the same. So he's like, hey, I need to use your phone. So I was like, okay. He's like, I gotta call Sandy. So I let him in, and we're sitting there, and we hear him talking on the phone. He's like, oh, come on, Sandy, just let me in. Just leave the house unlocked and just let me inside. Just please don't hang up. Oh, damn it. And because she would hang up on him, and he called again. He's like, she ain't gonna answer me. And you and I were like, good old Christian boys, and back then especially, and we're like, we weren't the best, by the way, but we felt like it was time to pray for Marty. So we go, Marty, I said, I was like, Marty, can I pray for you right now? I know it sounds tough, like what you're going through. And he's like, yeah. So we all get together, and we're like, bowed our heads, and I'm like, dear God, you know, I lift up my friend Marty here. I just pray that you would just give peace in his heart tonight, and that you would just show him your love. He's like, hold on, Andrew. Hold on, Andrew. Pray that Sandy lets me in the house tonight. That was the best, dude. That was the best. That guy's classic. R.I.P. Marty. But anyways, all right, guys. I hope you enjoyed the
I don't
pod.
think I did a very good job of describing it, but we can get back on and
You did a good job. You did a good job. Like I said, you're sticking your neck out there in something that's could be easily criticized. I don't think you should lose
I
friends.
just know that like if I was watching it, I would be like, some of the stuff would make you think, I think. This should make you question.
Well, like I said, this is my first episode. I want people to comment if they come across this at the bottom questions you have. I don't know that Josh could read or whatever. Um, I mean it, and then I'll get you back on, and I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of people fucking talking some shit too. But I'll get you back on the pod, and we'll go over whatever the reviews say. I may only have 8 views, so who knows? Because like I said, I'm just starting this. But it'll either be called the Drewcast or the Drew Logan Podcast. Either way, who cares? I just hope you guys enjoy the conversations. That's all I'm here for, is some free speech and some guys who think outside the box. And Josh, you've been a great first episode. We'll have you on again.
That's what's up.
All right, big dog. I'll chat with you later.
Peace.
Peace everybody.